Do you ever watch a film and then a really good food scene comes up and it makes you just drool all ugly all over yourself? Well, that's how I feel whenever I watch Disney's The Princess and the Frog when Tiana's making those beautiful heavenly beignets. So today, I'm deciding to recreate them. It's easier to make than you think. First thing we gotta do is bloom some yeast. So I boiled some water earlier and it's been sitting here in a mug just so it could cool down a bit. And the goal is to get this to about 110, 115 degrees. I'm just gonna add this to a bowl, pop in some yeast, and feed them a little bit of sugar, which is about half of this mixture. Okay, so you don't want the liquid to be too cool because then it won't activate. You don't want to be too hot because you don't want to kill the yeast. And then let it sit there for about 10 minutes or so. You're gonna see it bloom and form this little cloud. It's been about 12 to 15 minutes. Look at how much it's bloomed. Now what this is gonna do is make a really airy, pillowy beignet. And if you've never had a beignet, it's basically a fried piece of dough. So it's a donut. I'm making it New Orleans style today. To this, I'm gonna add an egg and some evaporated milk. You could use regular whole milk, but I personally think that beignets made with evaporated milk taste better. I usually have some sort of science explanation for this, but I don't right now. I've got all-purpose flour. I'm gonna add this in several additions, a little bit at a time, along with the rest of the sugar, and a little bit of salt. It starts looking like a pancake batter. Once it gets too thick to mix with the whisk, go in with the spatula. It should be a very sticky dough, so don't worry and don't try to keep adding flour. Now, when it gets to this point, I like to dump it out and knead it just a little bit. So flour my board, dump it out, just knead it very gently. So you're not gonna try to over-knead this, kind of like when you make a pizza dough. You just want it to come together and be a little bit smooth. Now you see it's starting to smooth out. You're done. Don't mess with it anymore. Next, oil up a big bowl. Big enough so that when you add the dough and it rises, it's gonna double in size. Oil everything so it doesn't get too sticky in there. Drop in the dough. I like to just roll around in the oil for a little bit. Cover it up and let it sit in here, preferably in a warm spot, for about 2 hours. That's how long it usually takes me. Look how plump it is. You see all these air bubbles. Now comes my favorite part, punching it down. Like it owes you money. Generously flour your board. It looks like a lot. That's because once we roll this out and cut them up, it's gonna be sitting here for a while. You need the flour so it doesn't stick. And like Tiana's friend Lottie would say, you don't want it sweating like a sinner in church. Oh, I love the smell of risen dough. Start forming a little bit of a rectangle. I'm gonna make it an even layer. Not too thick, not too thin. Classic shape of a beignet is a square. So I have a bench scraper here. You could also use a really sharp knife, a pizza cutter. You just want to square off the edges so you can make even amounts of squares. Make sure you cut all the way through. I have some squares that are a tiny bit smaller than the others. That's okay. Usually these are, you know, the testers or for the dog. And by dog, I mean my fat ass. You could use a deep fryer or a cast iron skillet like I have here. And I filled it with neutral tasting oil. So I've got canola. Checking the temperature here, you want it at 380. Any less than that, the dough is gonna soak up too much oil, and any higher than that, it's gonna brown out too quickly outside before the inside can cook. So 380 is what you're aiming for. Now these little edges we have here are perfect for testing the oil. Just pop it in very carefully. Right away, it stays afloat. It starts bubbling. I like to drop in just a few at a time, about 3. Gently pop it in. And they cook for just a few minutes on each side. This is done, just drain off the excess. And I like to put them here on a rack so that they can drain out even further. Then I'm gonna fry up the rest and then dress it up like Tiana with honey and powdered sugar. Hey, look at me, I'm the princess and the frog. Yeah, I know. I'm extra fabulous. Ta-da! Oh yeah, nice, light and pillowy. I hope you give this a try. I'll see you next time. Bye!